Yahweh is based on the consonant YHWH, which is one of the names for God used in the Old Testament. In ancient Hebrew, vowels were not typically written down in most contexts. The name Yahweh originates from the Hebrew term that translates to I am. When God appeared to Moses at the bush that was on fire and instructed him to return to Egypt and lead the people out of slavery, Moses asked God who he should say sent him back to Egypt. Exodus chapter 3 verses 14 and 15. And God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Moreover, God said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial to all generations. Several things must be cited here in order to properly understand the significance of the name Yahweh. Regardless of how exactly it is translated, the word alludes to God's independent existence, as well as his ability to sustain himself. Everyone else relies on him for their very life, every breath they take, and their own existence. He is dependent upon no one. Because of this, the Jewish authority of Jesus' day considered it to be blasphemous, scandalous, and deserving of execution for Jesus to speak the words, Before Abraham was, I am. John chapter 8 verses 56 to 59. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Then the Jews said to him, You are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? Jesus said to them, Most assuredly I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Then they took up stones to throw at him. But Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. Second, the ancient Hebrew writers considered God's name too consecrated to write or enunciate. When vowels were later added to the text, the writers took the vowels from the word Adonai, which means Lord or Master, and inserted them between the consonants. They simply spoke the term Adonai in place of the name Yahweh. In accordance with this custom, the name YHWH is rendered in the majority of English translations of the Bible as Lord, with all capital letters, as we see in Exodus chapter 3 verse 15. Israel's God is referred to by the name Yahweh in their ancient covenants. Genesis chapter 22 verse 14. And Abraham called the name of the place, The Lord will provide, as it is said to this day. In the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. This declaration drives us to further study, because both Noah and Abraham spoke of Yahweh by that name, and Moses himself seems to indicate that the Hebrews were already acquainted with the name Yahweh. Genesis chapter 9 verse 26. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. Exodus chapter 4 verse 1. Then Moses answered and said, But suppose they will not believe me, or listen to my voice. Suppose they say, The Lord has not appeared to you. For those before Moses, the fulfillment of God's promises stayed distant, and their view of the essence of God was vague. That was about to change with the Exodus, as God delivered his people with amazing miracles and kept his promise to Abraham. Other names for God may be more descriptive, but Yahweh is more personal. He covenants with and guides the nation of Israel under this name. Yahweh is the name of Israel's God, and the God who came to earth as Jesus Christ, Yahweh in the flesh. Matthew chapter 1 verse 21 says, She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. The name Jesus is taken from the Latin form of the Greek word Yeshua, which means Yahweh saves. So Yahweh will save his people from their sins, and Jesus will save his people from their sins at the same time. This is simply one of many situations where Jesus and Yahweh are used interchangeably. In the English Bible, God's name is almost always translated as Lord, all caps. The Hebrew, on the other hand, is pronounced Yahweh and is based on the term for I am. So every time we hear the word Yahweh, or every time you see Lord in the English Bible, you should think, this is a proper name, like Peter or John, built out of the word for I am, and reminding us each time that God absolutely is. There are at least 10 things the name Yahweh, I am, says about God. Number 1. God will never end. If he did not come into being, he cannot go out of being, because he is being. Number 2. He never had a beginning. He didn't have a beginning. Every child wonders who made God, and any sensible parent will tell you nobody made God. God simply exists and has always been. There is no beginning. Number 3. God is absolute reality. There is no reality outside of him unless he wills it and makes it. He is all that was eternally. No space, no universe, no emptiness. Only God. Number 4. God is completely self-sufficient. Nothing can bring him into being, support him, guide him, or make him what he is. Number 5. Everything that is not God depends totally on God, and the entire universe is utterly secondary. It came into being by God, and stays in being moment by moment on God's decision to keep it in being. Number 6. In comparison to God, the entire cosmos is nothing. Contingent dependent reality is to absolute independent reality as a shadow to substance. All that we are amazed by in this world and in the galaxies is, compared to God, as nothing. Number 7. God is the absolute standard of truth and goodness and beauty. There is no law book to which he looks to know what is right, no almanac to establish facts, no guild to determine what is excellent or beautiful. He himself is the standard of what is right, what is true, what is beautiful. Number 8. God is unchanging. Yesterday, today, and forever, he is the same. He can't be surpassed. He is not developing into anything. He is the person he is. Number 9. God does whatever he pleases, and it is always right and always beautiful, and always in accord with truth. All reality that is outside of him, he created and designed, and governs as the absolute reality. So he is utterly free from any constraints that don't originate from the counsel of his own will. Number 10. God is the most important and most valuable reality and person in the universe. He is more worthy of interest, attention, admiration, and joy than all other realities, including the entire universe.